What becomes more interesting the older you get? Kitchen appliances. Air fryers are so hot right now. Air fryer and toaster oven combos will be the next big ticket. Sitting in the bathroom for 10 minutes apiece. My daily dump is my most relished and celebrated time of day. It's something to be cherished and enjoyed. Money. The stock market. Refinance rates. My moment of oh dang. I guess I'm an adult was when I spent an hour of free time reading up on retirement accounts and portfolio strategies. And I actually enjoyed it. Family history. I'm only 20 and I'm already neck deep in family records lol. I'm imagining me in retirement with a genealogy room. I met a great retired couple who were traveling to Scotland to research their family history in some ancient castle library and drink in the old pubs. Of course, I'd totally do that in retirement. History. I hated the subject in high school, but now learning about it is something I can't get enough of. Now it was always interesting, but school doesn't know how to teach most subjects. Well, they probably had disinterested teachers just following a curriculum. Learn those dates and names and that's it. I mean, it doesn't get more boring than that. But once in a while, you come across a teacher who really brings it to life. That's when you really start to learn about how and why things happened in the past and how it still has incredible impacts on how we function now. Other than that, yeah, I've been delving more into history on my own as I get older. History podcasts are my favorite these days. Edit, Hardcore History, and Fall of Civilizations are absolutely fascinating. Solitude. Death. A nice pair of socks. Eating healthy. Exercising. Skincare and sunscreen. At least for me. In my late 20s I suddenly realized that the sausage roll I was eating now would show up in my coronary arteries in my 40s. You start to think about how you want to feel in your 50s and 60s. Relatively healthy versus on 3 blood pressure tablets. Chronic pain. Barely able to walk around the shops without getting out of bath. It's so disorienting to look around in your 30s and see people your age taking metformin or insulin or having trouble going on a walk. It really gives a new perspective on things. Understanding that you need to sleep. When I was little I didn't give a duck about sleep, but then I understood how important it is. I began to realize this when I was lousy from lack of sleep. It seems to me that by the age of 25 I will start sleeping during the day. I still cannot do it. Yeah. Sleep is just about the most important thing you can do to make sure that you will be able to concentrate and have enough energy for the day. There is a major difference between your ability to do things when you didn't have enough sleep and your ability to do things when you had a proper amount of sleep. I know all this and yet, at the ripe age of 29 still have not learned my lesson. 2:40 AM. And I'm scrolling through Reddit in bed. Lights off. I'll take this as my cue to go the F to sleep. Good night Reddit. Books. Love reading as much as a kid as I do now. Compound interest. 8th wonder of the world. Gardening. Cooking. Going for walks. Birds. Found out they are really fun to watch. Even more fun as you learn which ones they are. Is that you? Wheel of Fortune. I asked my wife a few months ago when this show got to be so good. She said that it hasn't changed. We just got old. Your pets and their wonderful companionship. Doing nothing. Politics. It became a lot more interesting for me. Also it made me realize how corrupt elected officials can be. It made me realize corrupt the entire political system can be. However, we always need to keep in mind that humans are the product of evolution from simpler animals, and as such are very flawed. For me, hot sauces. My tongue suffers from Stockholm syndrome. Every meal I strive to cull unnecessary taste buds, so that all I may feel is blind. Blissful capsaicin. Just don't forget to wash your hands before you pee. If you handled peppers. Careful around your eyes. Sean Evans. My parents. As I get older I just become more and more curious about them. Like I realized my parents probably had dreams and aspirations when they were younger. Want to ask them, but it feels awkward. Being home than being out. Actually enjoyed time away from everyone and doing things solo. Felt like as I grew older my social battery depletes lol. documentaries. Jazz, you beat me to it. Great answer. Whiskey, I'll drink to that. Yard work. My grandpa used to give me a quarter for weeding the garden with him. Now that I'm all grown up and have my own garden to tend, I wish he was here so we could weed together. This touched me and I don't know why. Succulents. I'm so glad plants became fashionable and glamorous this decade. Plants used to be for dorks and old ladies. Florariums are so cool. Antiques Roadshow. I used to groan when my parents would have Antiques Roadshow on. Now I actually choose to watch it. Nothing terrible ever happens on Antiques Roadshow. So soothing. People. I started appreciating a lot more the nuances and the less obvious sides. The world gets less and less black and white as I get older. People reveal themselves more and more complicated. And as a direct consequence I'm less and less quick to judgment. People's behavior. Trains for me. Ever since I was little I was fascinated by them. Old Thomas the Train episodes had me severely drawn in. I love toy trains. There goes a train. So many things. I mostly love the shape, size, and scary power they possessed. Nowadays I love learning about the functions, variants of existing trains, brands, accidents, and still Thomas. It'll turn on season 1 to 5 any day. I love that show. This is so wholesome. Household appliances and products. I hated going to those stores with my parents, or even going to furniture stores for that matter, when I was a kid. Now, it's heaven lol. If I had a dime for every time and my husband and I have excited conversations with friends over the newest robot vacuum or an amazing cleaning product, we could buy another house. Crossword puzzles. Bourbon and a good cigar once in a while. I'm 60, close to retirement, and have leukemia with a daily chemotherapy pill. I'll have a damned cigar. Life itself, of course. Why would you think otherwise? The longer you live the more interesting life gets. At 65, it is getting damn near fascinating. The mysteries compound rather than decrease. It'll take as much as I can get. So true. Air fryers apparently. Music. The more I fell into the music world the more I was sucked into it. And dirty jokes. Time. Life in general. All the things I did not care about growing up which I suddenly now notice in my everyday life. Cooking and baking. There's so much to learn, and so many things we buy, like granola for example, that we can make easily and cheaply. Baking particularly fascinates me, fattening scientific crafting. How my brain works. Sales on at the grocery store. I go through flyers all the time for the best deals, because I'm not confident enough to price match. For years I would be annoyed by the older folks clogging the aisles studying all of the labels. Now I realize I'm that old guy, but I'm aware enough to move my carriage to the side. Investing money. You realize it's the best gamble to make, so the rest/end of your life doesn't decking blow. If people would just make a monthly deposit into an S&P 500 fund, starting at a young age, they'd never have to worry about retirement. Lawns. Hank Hill has entered the chat. Observing the actions of younger people. Universe. My childhood, or what I can remember from it. I'm 58 years old. Computers. I started with non-networked DOS computers that you ran from prompt. We shared them at work because of how expensive they were. Most of our work was on mainframes. This weekend I'm completing the migration of our servers to SharePoint and taking the entire office to virtual. Stay up with the times, kiddos. Never fall in love with the current technology. I'm an accountant, but I can write in PHP, Java and VB. I run Linux, Android and Windows. My first computer had 2 disk drives, one for your program and one for your data. My phone has a more powerful processor than the mainframe I cut my teeth on. Old men seem to get increasingly interested in past wars. Old women seem to be increasingly devout in their faith. Old women I know get obsessed with old murders. Your own story. Any school subject. Ince we are out of the environment where we are forced to learn it and into environments where it just exists. Our interest peaks. Time travel. nature and the simple things in life. Looking after plants. For me, 36F, other women. More and more. Men just don't interest me. Cleaning products. Learning a language. In school it was always the rehashed, heavily textbook based, boring kind of learning that was neither engaging nor helpful. I hardly got to practice speaking, which is probably what made me lose interest at the time. It was only to get better marks. Now during my free time I like to both catch up on languages I don't want to forget along with learning new ones, and it's much more engaging because it isn't this tunnel vision focus, but rather the entire experience by speaking it, writing, reading, and repeating new words. My ball bag. He's just hanging in there, but he's a quick reminder like the rings in a tree that I'm not longer 20 something. Speaking as an old man, old women. For me it's been figuring out when people started looking older or what made them look older. I don't know why. Probably because people I've known of forever have been aging. Example, there's this actor I've been watching in a show, on and off, for 15 years. I don't think he looks his age, early 40s. He's more mid-late 30s. He hasn't really aged since then, but I can't figure out how the duck aged at all. I look at him at 27, and he looks so young. He looks older now, but, like, I can't see it. His eye wrinkles are barely deeper, not enough to add 10 years. He has no additional lines on his face. His skin is as tight and clear as ever. His face is slightly broader, probably because he bulked up on muscle then gained some weight on top of it. But I stare at him. I stare at him then and now. I stare at collages of him from 1999 to now in order. I still can't see it, or see when he started changing. Some of it has to do with when he has facial hair. He looks older, but that's as far as it goes. I'm so fucking confused on why this bitch looks older, and I stare at everyone I've known 10 _ years now to try and figure this shit out. I've only managed to nail it down for one person. Slightly deeper eye bags and more pronounced lines around his mouth. His neck looks looser too, and he gained weight in his face. It makes him look the age he was when I first encountered him. But he's the only fucking one who has actual obvious features that made him age. It's driving me nuts. Studying. Clouds. Sleep. When will I mature? Wheel and Jeopardy 6 days a week. The Little Prince. At first glance it is just a normal book, but when you grow up the book feels different. Lines and wrinkles. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You really don't give a damn about anything. The wall in a conversation. Practicing mindfulness. Moving to a different country for a period of time. Probably been said already, but kitchenwares. Basically any cool appliance or something as simple as a sleek looking German steel knife set with the one knife that you know is meant for cutting fruits and veggies cause it has the grooves on it that won't let the stuff stick to the knife when you're cutting it. Probably math. Never expected that I would pursue that as my life when I was 10 as I was failing the subject, but look at me now, in uni for math/physics and software engineering. Me. I love getting older, because each year I give less and less a shit what people think of me. I love turning 30, 40, all of it. Getting through all the stuff I got through and looking back on the other side of it. Friggin' awesome. Stocks. I'm literally 14, not old at all, but whatever, and my dad started teaching me about stocks because I'm old enough to get a job and I already have had a bank account for a couple years now run by my dad. I just find it fascinating how you can use money and make more money by clicking some buttons and waiting some years. When I was younger the only thing I knew about stocks that I was interested in was the meme. Jigsaw puzzles, crosswords, Sudoku. Anything that I would have considered boring before. I just find immense satisfaction in completing something like that. I found that 40-year-old women get more interesting as I get older. Kidnapping. Poop. The older people get the more interest they take in their stools. Religion. Hello friend. May I recommend an awesome read? Nothing to be frightened of. Written by Julian Barnes. The way you describe your interest in religion reminded me of it. It's a perfect light-hearted, very smart reflection on how you age and the changes that come with it regarding your view of death/life meaning. A hug. Sounds interesting. Thank you. Dressier shoes. When you're working full-time at a good job, it makes much more sense to own good pairs of shoes. Ever-changing hair color and density to keep you on your toes. Jilfs. This implies you knew about those when you were still very young, but just weren't interested. I was interested then too. Just now. More so interested. Real estate. Drying paint. Waking up at 4 AM. Going to sleep at 4 AM, but only because you are up for the third time since you went to bed. Cause you had to use the bathroom. Girls. Boners. Building computers. Well, maybe that's just cause of quarantine. The money difference you can make with different jobs. Dr. Phil. The price of funerals. Video games. They come a long way since Pong. Cream peas. Nosaha. The pub. Conspiracy theories. I know some people follow them religiously, but there are some conspiracy theories I find interesting the more I get older. Vacuum cleaners. Drugs. My toes. Reading. As a kid I hated doing it, but now people call me old man, since I read everything I can get my hands on. Taxes. The country in middle America. I grew up near a big city and always wanted to be downtown where the scene was. Well, I think that also changed, because the internet has made it possible to stay connected from anywhere, but I keep finding new places in rural or middle America and it's just so interesting. I'm learning that there is so much more to the USA than these big coastal cities and suburbs, and out of these places are so nice, or have great landscapes/forests/mountains. The fact that I have the power to end my life and not experience losing my parents and loved ones and avoiding getting frail and weak, I can just end it all. Porn. Trying to identify the birds I see in the forest. To be honest, it's say science. I hated it in school. It's the only subject I didn't P but got an E. But now I love watching science videos and learning new things. I'm looking forward to trying some fun experiments with my son and daughter when they are older. Fellatio. Older guys take longer before orgasm, so it is more fun. Golf. Flavors. I think as you get older you start to care less about good flavors and bad flavors, and become more engaged with complex flavors. Don't get me wrong. I still love me some sweets. I just also have an appreciation for how naively bad flavors like bitterness or certain gross sourness can really bring a dish together. If my parents, grandparents and grand-grandparents are any indication, the only things that matter in life past 65 are housing, little children, food, the weather and judging neighbors. Past 85, mostly the last 3. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe for more videos.